And hey, everybody. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay, but welcome to Plate Exchange, our TikTok Live studio debut. You're probably going to hear an echo from that direction because we're testing this for the very first time. But anyway, thank you guys for everybody who does join us. We're just kind of getting started here, so we're letting a few folks come in the room. But I'm Steve. We're on the ring apron. We've got Kiana and Alyssa that are further back. They may make some cameos behind me here if they feel so obligated. They're eating cake right now. So, hey, I clean my plate. I'm a good boy. See? Look at that. Look at that. Thank you, sweetheart. But anybody who's watched us on YouTube, has watched us on Twitter, or anywhere else we've done previous work, Instagram, knows this show is about WWE. And essentially what we like to do is we have all of our little replica championship belts, you know, nice and pretty, nice and shiny. And essentially we do exactly what the show implies. We exchange the plates. So we want, you know, of course, an opportunity. We've been able to get a lot of followers as of late. Thank you guys so much, because without your support, it doesn't really matter what we're doing if you guys aren't watching. So we appreciate you taking the time to do so. If you're watching this the next day on YouTube, hey, you're missing out on the fun, so all our information right up there on the left-hand side. Hey, follow my finger, right over there. But you can follow us on all our social medias. We're on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. YouTube's our big one. Facebook, Instagram, and if you're in Canada, you know, you can also follow us on Hive, which is Canadian Twitter. So, you know, be sure to take the time to follow us. We put up material whenever possible. Of course, we, you know, encourage anybody who's on here watching us live on TikTok certainly to share us because this is brand new experience. We're part of the, you know, the trial, I guess, for the studio and whatnot. So we want to be able to try to put on a good show here. Of course, you know, goals, follows, likes. I mean, we're starting off small, but you see our follower list. I'd love to see it hit 4,000 by the time we get to the pay-per-views this weekend. We've got 2 of them this weekend. Night of Champions Saturday afternoon, and then NXT Battleground coming up on Sunday night. We were going to try to make it to Lowell. Ultimately, our schedules are not going to match up. It doesn't look like so. It doesn't look like Battleground's going to be able to happen this time. So, it is what it is. I'm going to spin my chair here in just a second because Alyssa's sitting down. They're watching The Invisible Man. They've never seen it. They're confused because a blonde woman is running down the road in an incoming car. Goodness gracious. But either way, they do. I don't think they realize they can hear everything that y'all are saying, right? And this is going to go on YouTube.
I'm sorry.
They're not sorry. They're not.
Girl, you better hit this man. And you better drive.
You better speed.
Thank you.
Literally, I mean, I don't know.
So you had all day to wake up. Hey.
We do not condone violence, but just so you can see it, we're watching Invisible Man. He is over there. Say hi. I like the swivel chair was a nice choice. I do like this.
We are spinning.
Well, it's important to me that we end up doing something like this because also, you know, it gets us, you know, anybody who's watched our show prior knows that, you know, usually we do it in front of a white screen in the back. We use a projector. It gets hot as bejesus back there. It's insanely hot back there because there's, you know, we run the air, we run the fan as much as we can, but it just simply doesn't do anything. But we do have 2 belts to exchange. We did a previous show here, so while we're trying to, you know, kind of extend out, let some folks have some time to get in here at the same time. For those of you who are veterans of our show, we want to go ahead and get to the fun stuff. So we are going to go ahead and talk about one of the 2 title belts that's over here to my right, and that is the the WWE main roster Women's Championship, which prior to this was actually held by the team of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, who had won it a couple of weeks prior and had been, you know, successfully making themselves a good tag team over the period that they had been the champions together, especially during a time in which they essentially were kind of just throwing teams out there. I mean, really, with the exception of Shayna and Ronda, it was kind of just, let's throw them against the wall and see who sticks. But for all intents and purposes, they ended up, you know, Raquel and Liv worked. Unfortunately, in a recent championship defense against Damage Control, both Liv Morgan and Dakota Kai were both injured in the same match. They were hoping that Liv would be back, maybe in a week, maybe two. Now they're talking like months before she's going to be back. So unfortunately, as a result, WWE has chosen to vacate the WWE Women's Tag Team titles away from Raquel and Liv. Now, Raquel does have a new partner. She found out on Monday Night Raw that she is going to be able to have a new partner in that of Shotzi. So she is going to get an opportunity to win the tag team titles back with Shotzi as her partner. It's a fatal four-way. Ultimately, Damage Control, the two remaining members, Bayley and Io Sky, will have a shot. Sonya and... You want to do it? Chelsea Green. And a gag from the other room. And then the team of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, who I think a lot of people thought would already have the titles by now, but ultimately it has not panned out that way. So they're going to go in a fatal four-way on Monday, so we will have a new champions of some kind, whether the Raquel Rodriguez plates end up back on here and Shotzi gets her first sets of plates, or whether we end up crowning some new champions. We've seen Ronda's before, we've seen Shayna's before. We know what Bayley's looks like. Io had plates in NXT, so we would assume that her plates would look relatively similar, although she was known as Io Shirai at the time. We have the box for that right here for anybody that's curious, but I should have flipped the camera because everything's going to look backwards on that end, I'm guessing. Okay, hang on. I think I can fix that. Hey, now we've got it the right way. See? Look at that. Magic. I love this thing. So now let's try showing this off again, and now it's facing the right way.
Very nice.
Ooh, sharp. Bling, bling. But we do have those, so, obviously they're not the round plates, but, if they win them back, and then, of course, Sonya and Chelsea Green have never won championships, at least none that have required plates. So it does certainly ring out in terms of trying to find out exactly, who's going to be the new champions. So because it is plate exchange, of course, we do exchange the plates themselves. So the Raquel Rodriguez plates and the Liv Morgan plates have both been removed. They've been changed back to just the generic side plates that you normally see. But this shouldn't last too terribly long. Again, a title match on Monday. So we'll find out who is going to be the new champions, and then we'll see this one again. So it won't be gone long. Unlike the Universal title, which never seems to make an appearance.
Hey, I'm thrilled.
I'm sure she's thrilled with it.
I am thrilled. I am a frog on the stand, and I say what I say.
But for those of you joining us on TikTok that's brand new to this, we do have all the belts for the most part, at least current ones. We do have a couple of old school ones as well. The new World Heavyweight Championship is in the midst of being purchased. So right now the projected date on anyone getting a hold of those is, I think, October. We're going to try to maybe press our luck and hope we can get it in Detroit for SummerSlam, but I'm not liking the odds on that terribly, and the shop has not given me much reason to believe that anything's changing on that front either. So we'll see how it all pans out. But anybody who's a fan of the belts and whatnot, that's kind of what this show is. We do also do two other shows. One is a little more prominent. We do one called Top Rope Spoilers, which is our prediction show. We're actually going to do one tomorrow and one on Thursday right here on TikTok. We do them live here, and then we post them on all of the rest of our social medias the following day. So if you want first crack at it, right here, you become a subscriber. You get it even earlier than that. We are prepared to do subscriber shows for those that are willing to, help us out, We're trying to live the dream here, where we don't make a ton of money off of this. We do make just a little bit, thanks to YouTube. Get to go to a lot of fun places, so definitely take the time to follow us there. And as I said, on the rest of our social medias, I got to point this way now because the camera got flipped. But, YouTube is our big one, at least until this takes off, I guess, because we want to see... we want to go to all of these shows. We want to have all these opportunities to be able to go to all these fun places. We go to Mania every year. Basically, any of the big four, we're pretty much there. SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. We are going to have a representative for us at Money in the Bank in a month. Paige is going to represent us in London and is going to do Money in the Bank. Thank you so much for representing us because we can't go across the pond. Not yet, but we will soon. Also, if you're watching, you need to send us info on that care packet. What do you want? Because we're ready to. I mean, we've had the Cheetos bought for like a month. So, I mean, come on. You need to tell us what you want. But, essentially, and NXT is exactly the same, In fact, that's what our one plate that we are going to be able to exchange is going to be about tonight, and that is the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. We mentioned, of course, the current champions, which are Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre, who, of course, also got moved to Smackdown during the recent WWE draft. However, they are still holding on to the championships and are currently the only women's tag champions in all of the company right now, thanks to the vacation of the main roster tag team titles. So we've mentioned, of course, their title run. And I think our last plate exchange episode, if memory serves me, I think we did it, and we mentioned, we're going to get them soon, and then they debuted them that night, and they were in our hands like 2 days later, so, of course. So either way, we'll properly make sure they're introduced here in just a couple of minutes. But either way, we mentioned that we do 2 shows. The first one of Top Rope Spoilers that we do for our prediction show. We'll be doing Night of Champions tomorrow, and then we'll be doing NXT Battleground on Thursday. So be looking out for that. It's going to be a little earlier than this. This was the earliest I could get on here to do live tonight. We, of course, wanted to watch NXT. We're sure not going to go head-to-head against that. We lose out to, folks making, jokes on here about whatever they want to talk about. So we're definitely not going to compete up against NXT, nor do we believe we actually could. But at the same time, we do want to, provide a good, product on here whenever possible. And of course, it's also about, as so many YouTubers talk about, figuring out the algorithm.
Yes.
When is the best time to do so? So we're gonna try to go live whenever possible, and the studio hopefully will help. But our other show is one that we're trying to revive with an extra, added incentive now. We used to have a show when we very first got started called Questions with the Queen. It became Quality Time with the Queen, and that was when Kia, who's behind the chair, would take the time. Yeah, well, we'll spin around. Say hi. I love this chair.
Hello.
She's thrilled to be here. You can just feel the excitement. But either way, she would, basically come on, and our followers would have the opportunity to be able to ask questions. We ask, of course, for wrestling questions, but, sometimes it, would end up being something that wasn't even about wrestling. They just wanted to get their opinion on a current topic, a current event that's going on, and be able to do so. Well, now we're going to kind of be able to play around with it a little bit. We do need a new title for the show in particular, but at this point, we now, of course, have 2 queens in our house now. The OG queen, Kia, and then the, whatever you want to call it, the new school queen in Alyssa. So this one, I stay hands off. I just run the camera. Maybe I'll moderate that one, I guess. But that's about as far as I go with that one. But that's something that, we want to be able to kind of revive. And the ability to have a little more freedom now to be able to do it where we want is certainly going to be able to help. Can you imagine how this would have looked with our award show if we had been able to do it like this?
Oh, Lord.
Because think about it, we could have had, and I'm sitting here looking at like the picture right here. We could have had the 5 choices, then could have put the winner down where the belt is. Oh I wish we had this a couple of months ago. Hey, it's only up from here. We're just steadily moving our way up the ladder. But with that, let's go ahead and move to the other belt in question. I'm sure a lot of you have already fast-forwarded to this part if you're watching this later on. So it is what it is. Let me get that off the screen. But that is, as I said, the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. This one has been a championship that has been exchanged for quite a while now, as you've got to go all the way back to, what was it called? The one at Valentine's Day. We went to it. Somehow that's what I was thinking too. Why am I drawing a blank on this? Vengeance Day.
Vengeance Day, yeah.
Thank you. I could not.
Heartbreak.
Heartbreak, Vengeance.
Well,
There's a. Throw her away. You heard it. Either way, Vengeance Day, and we actually did see this live as the incumbent champions at the time, which were Fallon, Henley, and Kiana James, tried to defend their championships against Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre. They were unsuccessful as Alba and Isla ultimately were able to conquer the cracked team of Kiana and Fallon. Of course, we know where that's headed over the next couple of weeks. Brooks certainly getting himself stuck in the middle of all of that, but it looks like that storyline is over and done with, and Kiana trying to make it on her own at this stage. But as a result, we did crown new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions in the form of Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre. So to begin, we always show the old plates. We have Fallon Henley's plates. I'm having to try to rotate this backwards, as I said, but there was Fallon Henley's. And there was Kiana James's, hers using her logo from her CMD days. And then we do have the new plates, so allow me to show those off here real quick before we start putting them on the belt. I'm using the Io Shirai box here, only because I don't have a box for these to go in. All I have are just the plates themselves. But we do have those to show off here. We have Alba Fyre's. Trying to get you a decent shot of that. And then we also have Isla Dawn's. Both of those showing off the logos. Alba getting a nice little fire logo with hers as well, so I thought that was a nice touch that the NXT folks provided. But we'll go ahead and get those onto our replica belt. And go ahead and make it official, I suppose, because they certainly have had to wait long enough. Almost, 3 months?
Yeah.
Actually, Vengeance Day was start of February, so actually it's closer to 4. Whoops. Well, you got to think, I mean, they went something like 6 weeks without plates, and we were just convinced at one point, like, either they're just going to be quick champions or something, or, maybe it's just a temporary move. But it doesn't look like that's the case. Now, the curious part behind this is going to be what they're going to do with the champions. Hey there. Once you ultimately end up having, whatever storyline Alba and Isla are going to run on Smackdown now that they are actually part of the Blue Brand roster and not a part of NXT anymore. So the question is, is there a plan to perhaps, fuse the titles together into one women's championship? Is there a plan potentially to have Isla and Alba pulling double duty? Although I haven't seen them much on NXT in the last couple of weeks. So kind of curious to see where that's going to end up heading. But it does certainly, bear some thinking in terms of where they could be heading with this next. And, all the discussion about the women's tag team titles really on main roster and on NXT both being kind of stale and, and maybe underused. The problem with that is this kind of doesn't help the cause any, because you all of a sudden have one title that, had to get vacated because of Liv's injury. But then also at the same time, you now have Isla and Alba holding championships, but they're not really doing anything with them. So this is going to be curious as to whether this is going to be something to where they're going to finally just cut bait and say, hey, we're going to go back to one championship, or is this going to be a situation where they're going to be able to actually, do something with it? And obviously, from a person who loves owning the replica belts, I hope for the, latter, and hope that, they're going to be able to do something with it. But at the same time, it's got to be the right move. There was a team a little over a year ago who left the company because of some creative differences in terms of how they felt the women's champions, the women's tag team titles should be, defended properly. You can ignore my shirt. It has absolutely nothing to do with that, I'm sure. But, at the end of the day, the whole idea of why every bit of that happened about a year ago was because of the fact that they felt that these titles were jokes and were being underused. And here we stand a year later, and you wonder, has anything really changed? But at the end of the day, we do our best to not be a dirt sheet show here. We try to stay to the facts. We try to stay to what are, things that, of course, we're going to provide our opinions, especially on our prediction shows and whatnot. But the reality is we're fans of wrestling, and that just because we're primarily promoting WWE doesn't mean that we hate, AEW or New Japan or Impact or any of them, go Trinity. But, we want to just see people be successful in what they do. So at the end of the day, that's what's made us successful. It's what's made us fans. We've picked up a new one here in the last couple of years, and we're thrilled to have that. But with that, the plate exchange is complete. I think I might put that on a T-shirt. But we do have the plates now on the title belt itself. There's Isla Dawn's. And then if we shift over, there is Alba Fyre's. And that goes ahead and officially puts that on there as well. So we'll go ahead and get that back to our shelf now that that's done. And, of course, if you're a fan of, our plate exchanges, pretty good odds that we're going to see probably at least one title change this weekend. I think there's something like 9 title matches between the two shows. 10 if you include Theory's defense on Smackdown. And then, of course, we're guaranteed to crown new women's tag team titles on the main roster due to that championship being vacated and thus having to be re-won by a different team. So we know we're going to get at least one. The only titles not being defended over the weekend is, of course, the WWE and the Universal Championships. But Roman Reigns is going to, of course, be in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, as he will be trying to go from 2-belt reigns to 4-belt reigns. Yeah. Paul Heyman's going to have to work out. Get bulk, Paulus. Get swole or die. Because guess what? Roman wants more gold. Unless I guess Solo. Maybe we got to have Solo carry it all. You can see him holding 4 tag team title belts over him.
Here. One around his neck and one holding this one.
Well, hey, and you know what? It very well could happen because history tends to show most of the time what the tribal chief wants, the tribal chief normally ends up getting. But it's certainly going to be an interesting dynamic. One last shot for the Bloodline to try to get back the tag team titles. Of course, there's been the direct insult on the Usos not being the ones to get the shot. How are they going to potentially get involved in this? But part of the special triple main event as it's being declared. I didn't even put the logo on the side. Again, this tells you I'm still new to this, so we'll put that up there for the rest of the episode. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a fun weekend. First of all, wrestling at 1 in the afternoon. Honestly. By the time we've gotten up, we've gotten our coffee. I would normally say we'd watch Premier League by then, but Premier League's it's decision day or championship Sunday, so everything's on Sunday. But the idea that you can get up and you've barely had lunch and already it's time to party, and then bless you if you're watching from like Europe or something. Normally you got to stay up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning to finish watching a premium live event. Now you get to watch it at dinner time. Hey, Paige will get to enjoy this one. The next 2 actually. Because you got to think Money in the Bank will be the same way. Nice. So I'm looking forward to it. But for those of you who did join us, thank you. If you're watching this later on, if you haven't subscribed to our TikTok, again, right over there, go do it right now. We won't hurt our feelings. You can leave my live. I think there may even be a follow button at the top. I think I don't even think you got to leave the live. But if you want to follow us you're watching this later on YouTube. Go follow our TikTok because we're going to be back tomorrow night, and it'll be all 3 of us on here. I don't know where we're gonna do. We might pull up chairs. We might be sitting right here on the couch. A lot to talk about because we got Night of Champions for our first of 2 premium live events this weekend. We love double PLE weekends, so we're looking forward to it. I'm sure our personal opinions of Saudi Arabian events will certainly not come into play. Certainly not be talked about. But at the end, hey, we're going to have a good time, wrestling weekend. So, but either way, thank you guys so much. As I said, if you're watching this later on, you missed a chance to talk to me live, talk to any of us live. Of course, we keep the chat open, and the chat box, have a chance to chat with us anytime we go live. And we're going to try to do this not just for our shows, but just try to see where we can sporadically just jump in from time to time, and we'll chat about whatever's under the sun, whatever y'all want to chat, whatever y'all want to talk about. And I'm trying not to steal a quote here so I don't end up getting copyrighted by WWE. That'd be a bad way for us to end all this.
Well, he's already in a bad mood.
Yeah, he's already peeved as is right now, so let's not do that. But either way, thank you guys so much. One last look at the belt we did tonight, the new NXT Women's Tag Title belts. Alba and Isla getting their plates officially. So all of our plates are now updated. Of course, the only exception being the World Heavyweight Championship, which we don't have yet, but I guess in retrospect, no one has it yet. So we'll find out who's going to be. Is it going to be Seth? Is it going to be, Seth? He's right. Hang on, watch my finger. There we go. He's right back there. And we have an AJ Styles back there somewhere. Let's set that up for him. Let's make sure we set that up for tomorrow. He's over there in that corner, so we spin that way. You can see him. He's over there by Kevin Owens. So we'll figure out something for tomorrow. Again, this is new territory for us. But either way, thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time. Y'all have a good one. You gonna make it over there?
I was almost on a break.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Edit your highlights in live replay and then post them on TikTok. Because this is the part that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. Obviously, our analytics suck because that did not go as I hoped for in terms of the number of viewers. Only 27 total. 2 of them were y'all. So now you do realize when you're in there, you can tap the living shit out of your screen and get us likes from your profiles.
I know.
Okay.
The 2 you have are from me. You're welcome.
Gotcha. I was just like, if I'm already down the rabbit hole, I might as well go ahead and, if I'm already down, 28 minutes. Like, if I'm already down the rabbit hole, I might as well just go ahead and stretch this out to go ahead and go over 25, because we know the other 2 are. So we might as well go ahead and... The average watch time was 1 minute and 6 seconds. Nice. Anyway, so that tells me what I need to know. Subscription. Yeah. Well, also again, it's all about the algorithm as well. Trying to. Apparently, we need to work on this. It's an About Us page. It allows us to be able to do an introduction where they can click on something and find out who we are. So probably should try to put something together there. This is the new stuff that we don't get to see any of this